Okay, and welcome everyone to Module 4 of Construction Sales University. Use value engineering to put more money on your bottom line and deliver massive value to the client in 3 easy steps. So over the last 3 modules, I've really been covering what is the principle behind value engineering, why to do it, what is the benefit, and I hope at this stage it's really apparent how much it can benefit you and your business. And then what is the process? How do you physically go through the process of a successful value engineering or successfully value engineering a project? So this is all about some case studies, and this is where the rubber hits the road. And the first one is a really interesting one. It's a fantastic project that I was involved in the Middle East some years ago, completed in 2010, and it was the construction of a Formula One park for the Abu Dhabi Motorsport Management Company, where they wanted to really build a landmark project, something that had never been done before, certainly not in the motor space, and built a really iconic. So those of you that follow Formula One will know this amazing Yas Hotel, where the Formula One cars drive in underneath this particular point here and drive around the track, and you've got this fantastic marina, and it was really a seven-star building, and we were called in as the fit-out contractors to bid for it. And the company at the time that I was the managing director of was a company called Hamilton International, a large UAE-based, Dubai-based interior fit-out company, and we worked in the really top end of the interior fit-out space. It was in Abu Dhabi, as I mentioned, and it had a really tight program, 6 months, because this had to be open for the 2010 Formula One Grand Prix season. It was the final race of that season, and really this complete project was brought from concept to completion inside 3 years, and the client's budget for the interior fit out was $140 million. So the client was the biggest property developer in the UAE, called Aldar. Architect was Hermann Tilke and Partners from Germany. Main contractor was Serbarco from Bahrain, and the fit-out contractor, as I mentioned, was Hamilton International. So some of the key challenges of this project, which is, and I've mentioned this before, but with value engineering at the outset, what you've got to do is define what are the challenges, what is it that you're looking to overcome with this process. Well, in this, it was a pretty major one. The bids for the interior fit-out had all come in excess of 100 million of the client's budget. Also, no tendering fit-out contractor could meet the client's program, which was 6 months. We were all 6 months outside of his program, primarily due to a long lead-in time for materials. Because the engineers and the architects were European-based, they had specified what they knew from those regions. So a lot of long lead-in items, a lot of items that were very expensive. So the specification was way over budget. Availability of materials was an issue, and there was some other secondary issues really in terms of maintenance. The AC system was predominantly cassette-mounted split units, ceiling-mounted, split AC units, and very difficult to maintain, especially when you're in a high foyer area. But one of the overriding concepts, as always with these, is that the architect wanted his design intent to be maintained. So we followed the process that I've been outlining over the last number of slides, which is blast, create, and refine. And we really went through the full phase. So in the first phase, in the blast phase, we held our initial workshop where we got the architect and the engineer to define what their requirements were, and that really gave us a deep understanding of how they had reached the point that they reached. And what quickly became apparent, and certainly in terms of the architectural concept, the client wanted a particular look and feel, and their designers, Hermann Tilke, it wasn't necessarily that they were absolutely rigid about what products had to be used. They just wanted the look and feel. So that fed very much into the functional analysis. So we had to create a project that gave a certain look and feel within the client's budget, and that was really the particular functionality that we had to achieve. So then we got into the specification, we looked at the design, we went through the process of obtaining samples, and then started to put sort of high level costing or potential cost savings onto the table. So we looked at cost savings through alternative materials, through alternative detailing, through a revised specification, through identifying locally available materials, through manufacturing locally, more buildable details, and through reduced maintenance. All of the headings that we spoke about earlier. And yes, we used the 80-20 principle, dove into the big items. So this was a complicated job. There were over 2,800 shop drawings. So once we had brainstormed that and got a broad understanding of where the 80-20 principle lay, where the big opportunities were, then we had a workshop, and we went through the 5 phases of information, speculation, evaluation, development, and presentation. And That took us to a point where we had identified specific items with broad line cost savings identified, and I'm going to take you through some case studies in a minute. We then presented that scope and the program implications, which were very beneficial, and cost findings, and got sign off of those from the client. And I outlined in the last module the importance of getting sign off with the client. I cannot stress enough how critical that is to the success of a really good value engineering process. So let me give you some examples. So in this, you can see here, this is a kind of a typical, well, not a typical, it's a very high spec foyer entrance, and the architect wanted this continuously changing backlit glass feature. So you can see here it's green, and here it's a kind of a turquoise color. Originally that was a very, very expensive light specification. We found an alternative LED light in China and put it on a rotating light control panel, or a control panel that rotated the light colors, which gave it that different coloration. Here, originally specified, you had a Corian, which is a solid counter, and we basically replaced it as a value engineering suggestion with a MDF with a hard impact resistant lacquer with a glass countertop, so significantly less expensive item. Originally specified were white marble tiles. We suggested white porcelain, which the client accepted. Originally there was to be a glass clad column. We suggested this very specialized wallpaper, which kind of get the same feeling, and essentially we were able to reduce the cost of this foyer entrance dramatically. And incidentally, we also manufactured the staircase locally as opposed to bringing it in from the UK where it was originally specified. So these were particular savings, but the unique thing about them is they did not alter the design concept whatsoever. The only area where you could say that we substantially changed the look of the design concept was in the column, but it was reached as a compromise with the architect. He got something that he was very happy with. This is another space. It's one of the kind of foyer areas again, and what was originally specified was a very, very expensive porcelain form tile here, like a wall cladding effect. Very expensive, long lead-in item coming from Europe, and again we suggested a basically a machine lathed, CNC lathed MDF panel, which we then again sprayed with a white lacquer, impact resistant, and got a really fabulous product for a fraction of the originally specified price. So that was again a really great saving that the client was more than happy in, the architect, because he got the same look and feel. Again, here we went for the white porcelain tile as opposed to marble, and one of the massive savings on this project was originally that what was specified was very expensive European furniture, and because of our supply network from China, we had a really, really fantastic business in China called Products of Distinction that were able to get manufacturers in China to manufacture us the identical look and feel in terms of furniture for a fraction of the price. So here we have one of the roof gardens that looked out over the actual start finish lane, and on this we had originally a cedar decking which we replaced with a teak. We went with the alternative furniture that I've just described, and originally specified was a very, very expensive balustrade from Germany. It was costing in excess of $500 a linear meter. We got one locally made, same look, same feel, for less than $200 a meter, and saved hundreds of thousands of dollars on that single item alone. So we took all of those ideas and brought them into a final revised design and specification, which gave us a revised construction methodology and allowed us to really compress our program, because all of these were available locally, presented that final scope to the client and got sign off of it. So as a result of that process, we were able to save in excess of 5 months on the original tendered program. We were able to use local suppliers with proper backup and support. We were able to lower the building's life cycle and maintenance cost and save in excess of $20 million to the client, and $100 million inside the original tender amount. So the client's budget was 140, we came in at 120, which was over 100 million lower than the original tender amount. And it slipped a bit. The final account was somewhere in excess of 125 million, but not much. But we were allowed to get an increase, not a margin, but an increase of 10% on our overall original net margin, which in construction is huge. And the client negotiated his next project with us. We literally went from project to project. We constructed his headquarters in Abu Dhabi soon after we had completed this project. The success story number 2 is a hotel that was constructed in Dublin. Again, I was involved in this project and it was exceptionally successful for all parties involved. So a hotel in Dublin, and you can see here on the left hand side, we constructed this 100 bedroom extension to an existing live hotel. So location was in Ireland. The original program was 8 months and the client's budget was 9 million. What we quickly found is our bids all came in excess of the client's budget, specifically 1 million, and nobody could meet the original program that the client had set. He had a particular deadline. I think it was the All-Ireland finals in Gaelic football in Ireland, but that's beside the point. It had to be finished for a specific event. It was a live hotel, long lead in on some of the materials specified, expensive materials specified in a number of locations, and incidentally there was a number of significant variations introduced to it. At the time they were introducing a smoking ban in Ireland, and the client wanted what was to be a plain internal courtyard turned into almost like an internal garden. So there was a lot of additional works, a lot of change, but we still managed to bring it inside the client's original budget despite all of the changes through the process I'm about to outline. So again, fundamentally the design had to be maintained, so we went through the same process, the 3 steps: the blast, the create, the refine, and looked at alternative materials, alternative construction methods, alternative detailing, revised specification, and more buildable materials. So some of the areas we zoned in on were we looked at the foundation design, and I'll take you through that in a minute. We looked at a revised structure, we looked at a revised external wall and roof system, we looked at the joinery veneer. We were able to suggest an alternative which saved tens of thousands of dollars. We looked at using prefabricated bathroom pods as opposed to traditional bathrooms. We looked at revised internal finishes, and we reviewed the FFE and E specifications to the furnitures, fixings and equipment, and found an alternative supplier, again sourcing from China, who was able to save us significant sums of money. So some specific examples. The building was originally designed with a reinforced concrete frame. The challenge of that is it's slow, it's expensive, and it's very, very time consuming and heavy, which was a particular challenge for this site because the building was built adjacent to an existing building at a lower level. So we were going to have to underpin approximately, I think, 280 meters of the existing building's foundation, which was a major issue. But the fact that we went with the steel solution, the fact that we were able to save a significant amount of weight, meant that not only did we not need to underpin the existing foundations, we also negated the needing for piling. So whilst the steel in itself was more expensive than the reinforced concrete, when you took into consideration the fact that we didn't have to underpin and the fact that we didn't have to put in piles and save money on our programs and P&G, meant overall we had a significant saving. We also then looked at the external cladding system, and originally it was to be standard blockwork, which is slow, which is messy, it's inaccurate, and we suggested a timber panel, as I'm showing you with the cursor here, which was prefabricated off-site in a factory, and it allowed us to simply bring the panels in sections and install them. So we were able to, and the floors were done the same and the roof was done the same, and we were able to install these. Literally a panel got installed within about 20 minutes. So over a period of 2 weeks the building was completely weather tight, which allowed us get on with the interior wall construction, M&E fit out, and ultimately get the building constructed much quicker. And you can see here we also had the windows prefabricated and installed in the factory, so all the windows came pre-installed, so we had a massive saving on time, better thermal performance and improved sound quality. We also, and apologies the image isn't right here, we also went with a prefabricated bathroom which was manufactured off-site in a factory in Prague, sealed, brought to site on the back of a truck and dropped in to position in the toilet, and then we constructed the screed in around that on the floor. So we really went for a completely radical approach to how we constructed the building. The look and the feel of the building was absolutely identical, but the methodology behind it was completely different. So you can see we went with a completely different revised specification and construction methodology, and again we got that completely signed off by the client, which allowed him get his building on program. We were able to achieve massive savings and frankly put significant additional margin. So we looked at a 20% saving on the foundation cost, 2 months saving on program, 10 months saving on the overall internal finishes, 15% saving on the fixtures, fittings and equipment, which resulted in a 17% overall saving to the client. So the client got more building for less money, and we got an extra 10%, in excess of 10%, I can't say the exact figure, of the original tendered amount. And the key thing again in this example, the client negotiated this next contract with us. So I hope you've enjoyed this, short, hard-hitting exercise in relation to how value engineering can help you put more margin on your project. It can help you develop incredible levels of trust and respect with your clients, because it provides an invaluable opportunity for the key project participants to come together and really collaborate, and it's going to help you put more money on your bottom line. It's going to help you eliminate your competition. If you introduce these techniques, processes and tactics at tender stage, you will blow your competition away. And most critically, and this is one of the fundamental objectives of Construction Sales University, it positions you as a trusted advisor. Get away from that adversarial, lowest price wins contractual relationship that all of us have worked under, to a point where you become the trusted advisor to the client and his team, the holy grail of where you want to be. I hope you found this training program interesting. It's a small element of what we do in Construction Sales University, where our entire vision is geared towards helping you achieve your dream of having a profoundly profitable construction company. So hope you've enjoyed it. Check out other free gifts that we have on constructionsalesuniversity.com, or feel free to reach out to me at Stephen@constructionsalesuniversity.com. Thank you so much for watching this, and I really look forward to your feedback and comments.